you again and do our yearly interview for the festival and just
Okay, well, go. Let's do it. I'm here, and it's always my pleasure, sweetie.
thank you. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you. So,
Okay, you got me.
okay, wonderful. I'm here with Mr. Bruce Nahin. He is producer, actor, entertainment lawyer extraordinaire, a supporter of our film festival for years, and just a lovely, lovely person to work with and deal with. So, thank you again for being you and for taking the time to speak with us today.
It's my pleasure always,
Yes.
every year. I love it.
Great. Thank you.
I love talking to some of your winners and helping them through a few hurdles in their lives.
Yes, no, and I've already heard about the fruits of your labor with some of our winners, and it really just drove home the point of networking for me. So I see you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as a master networker, you just know how to, you know, dot all the I's and cross all the T's. I'm
Well, I'm
wondering.
also 70 years old. I've been doing this since 1975.
Uh,
If in 45 years I didn't get it correct, I should have been a carpenter.
yeah. But like, what is some of your, I don't know, I guess techniques or where do you go to do your networking?
Well,
Um,
among other things, I'm in partnership with the Gathering Spot, which is has a club in Atlanta, in DC, LA, and coming to 6 other places. I used to run the monthly mixers for the Producers Guild, uh,
yeah.
but with a change in constitution, there it's now staff run, so they don't really have members do a whole heck of a lot. But anyway, Gathering Spot asked me would I run the entertainment division of their club. Members of Gathering Spot get to join affinity groups, whether it's lactating mothers or wine tasting, or cigars, or new moms or whatever, LGBT, and they have one called the Entertainment Industry Circle, which I run. So, for instance, last month we had a visit from Ruthie Hall, who won 2 Academy Awards for Black Panther and Wakanda. Next month, we've got 2 Black women who are presidents of Warner Brothers and Universal TV. And I use these events as a methodology of drawing people to mix, because we'll have that discussion with Perlene and Channing for an hour. Then they'll have 2 hours to mingle.
Ah,
The following month, Arts and Entertainment Network is coming to recruit members. So I create occasions for mixing. You know,
wow.
occasions for people to get together. Uh, we were doing screenings for a while, and then people could break into mixing and networking and stuff, and they can talk about what they just saw, or they could talk to the producers. There's all sorts of ways of creating a networking opportunity, uh, but you need to get the bodies there,
Yeah.
and the key is to get the bodies there. What if
Yeah.
they gave a film festival and no one showed up?
Right.
I mean, what good's the festival if you have no attendees? You can have the perfect organizational chart, the best list of films, but no attendees. It's purposeless. So I don't spend a lot of time worrying about the mixing part. It's more getting the people there,
Right. Right.
and because the mixing part is human nature. People, humans are community oriented. I mean, we make fun of hermits and people who live on mountains because the bulk of us are communal,
Yeah.
and whether you're male or female, we just commune differently, our two genders, but we still commune. We
Yes.
consider watching a football game um, processing and intimate. You girls think that we're nuts. That's not intimacy stuff. I got it, but us guys get it. So the idea is get you to the intimacy, get you to the communal, whatever it is, whether it's male or female. You may have to deal with it that way. But for the entertainment industry, I create events that people come to so they can mix. That's the real answer to your question. How do I do it? By creating unique events that people want to attend, that I want to attend. I mean, when you
Right.
get to 70 years old, there's not a lot of sand in the top of the jar. And I don't want to waste it on bullshit. So I like to go to things I want to do.
Do you have a mailing list people could get on? Do we go to
No,
your
no, they just, to be honest with you, maybe it sounds self serving, but I don't care if it sounds self serving because I'm 70 and I'm curmudgeonly. But my Instagram is at Bruce Nahin. That's BruceNahin. If people truly care, they'll truly follow me. I'm not going out of my way to find people to come to my events, but I do note them on Instagram.
yes.
And if people want to find out what's going on, that's a good place. I mean, I grew up without computers and no cell phones or none of that stuff. So my generation is the last. Please don't text me. Call me. Call me maybe, you know? That song spoke to me.
Aw.
But I mean, my boys will not answer my phone calls. My daughter does, but my boys won't. They want text. I say, fuck that. I don't want to text you. Who wants to type a message? I'd rather talk to you. But anyway, I'm the last generation of pre-computer. So you guys can make all the boomer jokes you want, but let me leave you with this thought. We founded rock and roll, not you. We built this city on rock and roll was us, not you.
Yeah.
We knew what we were doing. When I started Chipping Hills, I knew what I was doing. I didn't need to text people.
Yes. Yes. Think about that. That's really phenomenal. Like, yeah, no, I could hear minds like blowing as you said that. Like, wow, you started this whole club, this whole movement, really. And not an email was in sight, you know?
What
So,
was it? What was an email?
yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
remember my first email. It was nu64 at earthlink.net. And I don't even think Earthlink's around any. I mean, and dial up and all that stuff. I mean, you guys can have it. I remember getting off an airplane, calling LA, talking to my secretary, getting my messages, not a voicemail, not some guy who's pretending to be from India on a AI, but I actually was able to have my secretary give me a message and actually call people.
Wow.
None of this AI, trying to chase the answer.
Right.
Anyway, that's not
Right.
why you invited me here today. So
No,
I'm
no,
not going to ramble anymore about that.
yeah, no, no. I find this useful information because what I was thinking of is like, I've seen people give courses on, coaxing writers out of their isolation pods to get out there and to network.
It's very It's very simple. At Gathering Spot, I have a subset of the entertainment network for writers, and we do fun things. They come and play bingo. Basically, the bingo requires you to fill the boxes in the bingo card from people you meet at the mixer. Find a girl who has 3 kids with 12 legs, and check that box. I found her.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
you come up with contrivances Uh, but make them fun, make
Yeah.
them want to go, make it not work. I mean, here in LA, and I don't know over where you are right now because they just shoot people and eat red sauce
Yeah.
and wait for Don Corleone to come in. I know it's Sicily. We all know it's Sicily. But seriously, uh, in your home base and stuff like that, the people who are watching this, we're busy, and you got to give them a reason to come.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that whole, I mean, movie making is a people business. So yeah, yeah, no, like I said, we were just like talking about how great you are and just, and thinking about you and all you've done. Yeah, you just know how to put things together and put the right people together. So I just think that's such an invaluable, um, skill to have, you know?
Well, it's just trying to figure out what would get you out of bed today.
Yeah. Make life meaningful, make our connections more meaningful. Yeah, such as the movie experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What have you been up to? We've had this writer strike, we've had the actor strike. What has your past couple of months, your landscape been like with all this?
So I've got. I mean, I do a lot of clearance council work. You know, title reports, script clearance reports, fair use letters for documentaries, things like that. When I was in law school, copyright always interested me. Um, so I do a lot of that. I produce 3 movies a year. At least I tried to. Last year, I produced one for a guy named Paul Rodriguez, a comedian. I am a producer for hire. I don't develop my own stuff. I don't raise my own money. That's for younger people. What I do is I'm hired to go on a set and run it,
Beautiful.
and I run it for people who don't know how to run it. I bring in my own first AD, my own UPM, my own coordinator, and I let the director be a director, subject to our controls, and let the writer be a writer, and they're free from the constraints of having to figure out how to make this moving.
I wonder because I once asked this question of a gentleman who was an accountant slash line producer, and I asked him what was the most interesting write-off that he had seen um, on a budget list. Do you have any little anecdotes or unique stories like that of like, wow, people tried to do this or this happened? Any kind of fun little story that comes to mind?
Give me an example where you're trying to go, so I'll go there with
Um,
you.
just like kind of like, wow, a person thought this should have been done, but really it should have been that. Um,
Are you talking about on a set?
yeah, on a set or just in the
Well,
producing process. Um, because like I know like a lot of people like, you know, maybe not people watching this channel, but maybe friends of somebody that's in the festival, like they really have no idea like what the process of producing is of, you know, getting all, you know, the locations and all the people.
producing goes anywhere from developing a script to retaining talent and a director to finding money.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I can't control that.
Right, right. Here's maybe this is where we can take it, being that I'm in Sicily right now. Like I've always heard that, you know, Al Pacino wasn't, you know, the actor that they had in mind, or they thought they'd fire him off of the Godfather because they didn't know where he was going with the character. But then when they saw it, their minds were blown. So have you had any experiences like that where like maybe you wanted a certain actor, but the director said no, or vice versa, or
Well,
anything like that?
the reality is the director doesn't control me. He's my employee. I never would give the director any kind of power like that. Uh, the director didn't raise the money. The director's investors are not at risk. The director is an employee. My job is to give him paint and a palette and tell him to paint within the constraints of what I want. If I give him a paint and a palette and I want him to paint the Brooklyn Bridge and he gives me the Mona Lisa, he hasn't done his job.
Point taken. That reminds me of that one line I heard once in Californication. That was a great series. That it's a producer-run business. Um,
The Academy Award to the best producer. Director has his director award, screenwriter has his award, but the best picture award is the producer.
right, right.
The producer owns the movie. A director is an employee. I don't care if the director and I have a contract for he or she to direct movie acts. Their input is great, but I win in a tie.
Uh,
There's an old story of Abraham Lincoln sitting in his cabinet room, and he was going to take a vote, and the vote was 12 yes and 1 nay, and he was the nay, and he says the nays win.
the knee hands win.
Directing is a skill, and it's an art, and I don't mean to direct, but in the end result, the director isn't paying the talent.
Mm,
So if the director says, I want Bill Smith and I give him Al Pacino because he's cheaper and I think he can do the job, the director's job is to direct. That's what he was hired for. If he
gotcha.
can't direct, Al Pacino, quit and pay me back the money I gave you. That's a director's job. I will yield to the director's art if there's a casting involvement, then he's or she are more than welcome to be involved. But most of the time, you cast before you hire a director, because where are you going to get the money to hire the director if you're an indie? If you're a studio, if you're a studio, then that's one thing. They give you money. They'll give the director, like Martin Scorsese, 4 hours to do his art. But in an indie, generally, in order to get investors, I have to have talent attached and the like. And the director comes in much later than they would in a studio film. And they may find that all the talent is there before the director's hired. Now, I would love to hire a director in the beginning, but that director has to draw investors.
Mm,
So to use you as the whipping girl for the conversation, hiring you to direct my movie may or may not bring investors.
right.
So my experience has been investors are talent laden. Either I have directors or I have talent, then I get money. And I can have a director and one or two talent, or I can have two talent and no director. But the reality is there are circumstances where the leads have been casted before the director.
Interesting.
And if the director is casted first, of course, I'd love he or she's input. in the circumstances. But if I've casted Al Pacino and then I hire Martin Scorsese to do the movie, he doesn't have a choice about Al because I already hired Al. Got to live with who we got, and he's got to live within the budget. He may want Brad Pitt, and I may want let's switch it. He may want Angelina Jolie, and all I can afford is Katerina.
I do my own stunts
And
too, though.
but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's all circumstantial.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I always hire the first AD, and I let the director hire the DP.
Brilliant. No, it's interesting. It's interesting because this is obviously how a movie with a budget gets made, where other people have the experience of, okay, I'm the director, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And maybe the producer will just be, like in a support, like a soft support role. So it's interesting to see this side of the spectrum. And I know I love your brand of storytelling. I wonder what's been one of the projects that you've been most fulfilled by recently. Is something
Well, we
come?
had an 8-month strike and 2 years of COVID, so
Yeah.
it's been a rather rough 3 years. During that time, I shot 3 movies since the beginning of COVID. I had 2 movies canceled last summer because of the strike. With A-listers in each that we've
Wow.
rescheduled to this summer. Can't talk about them, but there are named talent. I've got another project where we're talking to Zendaya. Another one we're talking Matthew McConaughey. Another one we're talking to King to direct. Watchmen.
Regina King?
Regina, yeah,
Yes.
yes.
I love her. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so for her to direct in a particular movie called Planning Pretty Picnic, which is kind of like the Big Chill HBCU style, without going into too many details. And Zendaya would play a madam in a brothel in the
Wow.
1840s, and Matthew McConaughey would be playing a principal in a school under fire.
Ooh.
With man with gun in school.
Wow. Meaty subject. Yeah, both of them. Oh, that's great then. So, everything might have been on pause for a while, but it seems like it's coming back full
Well,
force.
the gears are slowly getting started. We're revisiting talent because we couldn't really retain talent during the strike. But we did have conversations with agents about possibilities when the strike ended. Subtle difference. I got cast for a movie that I'm going to be acting in, a Hallmark, I think, being shot in Vancouver.
Oh, neat.
I act about 8 times a year, generally as the old man. This time I'm playing an 80-year-old retired fire captain of a volunteer fire department in anywhere USA.
Interesting. How do you
Who kind
prepare
of
for
been?
roles? I know, like, we've asked you, like, your producer strengths and everything, but what advice would you give to an actor to prepare for a role? Maybe one like you've just mentioned.
What? Who is the character? What is the character? Where does he come from? What drives him? What's his motivations? That's what they teach all the kids in acting school. Me, because I didn't go to acting school, half of what they're hiring me for is because I'm an old asshole, a curmudgeon is a nice way to put it. And so I just channel me.
I I won't tell the casting directors then that they have no idea how nice you I promise
Yeah.
I will not tell them.
Well, thank you for that. But this is kind of, how I get ready for the role is I just think of my inner curmudgeon.
Okay.
And, I've been
I,
doing that since Patrick Swayze first hired me for Tall Tales or Three Wishes. I was in both of them decades ago. I just play me basically. They call it method acting. I don't call it method acting. I just channel the character.
wow. Yeah, that's an interesting word. I like that. That connects. It seems like it has an element of spirituality in it when you say it that way, and you can bring forth like the soul of a character.
Right. Well, if you read the script, then sit down and write a couple pages about who this guy is and how he got there. And
Interesting.
that but they teach kids in acting school to do that. Give a backstory. That's the technical term.
Yeah.
Write a backstory. Who's this person? Why is he there? What brought him there? And we all do that. We all act all the time. I want you to go out with me. I act a certain way. I want the job. I act a certain way. I'm at the job. I act a certain way. I'm at a bar. I act. I mean, we all play games. We're all wearing masks. So it's not a whole lot different than are you in the club mood today, Katerina? Are we in the staying home mood? Are you at the work mood? Or are you at the job mood? Or you at the spa mood? Who are you today?
Right, right, right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
and those overlap, but the reality is people go home for Thanksgiving and have such terrible experiences is because everybody is channeling what they used to be over there. None of them are
Mm,
bringing the present. They're all going back into their old. And that's a perfect example of acting. They're bringing
interesting.
this character with them when they go to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's a unique perspective. Yes.
Yeah, just go find that person when you're acting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you gave us all a little tip for the holiday too. Yeah, just be in the present moment. That way you're not carrying the past with you. Um, and you can keep that happiness of the holiday that you're celebrating instead of bringing all the old scars.
Well, but those old scars were who you were.
Yes.
And that's who you need to channel for your acting. So you can take that character at Thanksgiving and give life to that character in your part. I'm not saying go to Thanksgiving and keep being that dysfunctional person, but your life experience. What were you like with your first girlfriend? First time you had sex? The first time you tried escargot or pate? Bring that into the role.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, channel these experiences into the role.
Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite of a producer. I want them to get out there and act. I don't want them to pace in their trailer all day.
Yeah, yeah. See, you know how to wear all the hats. I wonder, do you like directing at all? Have you done a bit
I've
of
never
that?
done it, never any desire to. I'm a technician.
Ah, interesting.
I like running the set, building the blocks, building the building. I'm not an architect. I'm a contractor. If you want to use the experience.
Well said. Well said. And people out there watching you on this interview, they can also contact you via
At
Instagram.
Bruce Nahin, at Bruce Nahin, Nahin. Uh, my email is bruce.nahin@gmail.com. and I'll respond to that too. I'm not going to give a phone number because
Certainly.
I don't pay attention to text. My notifications are turned off. It's something I do in my spare time, respond to text. And that may be tomorrow or the next day. I may
Right.
not have time to text you back today because I don't
Right.
care what you say in your text. That's what phones are for. If it's that important, call me.
Right,
If
right.
it can wait, do a text.
Okay, I think we're good. We'll put your email and your Instagram in the show notes, and if people want to contact you for producing or going to your events, they can get a hold of
Right.
you.
And they can contact me for all their clearance work too. I love
Clearance
doing
room.
that.
So maybe put in the subject line, "Hi Bruce, I need clearance work," or "I need producer." That way it's clear why
Yeah.
they come.
But whenever somebody goes to distribution, they have what they call legal deliveries.
Mm,
And part of legal deliveries are script clearance reports, title reports, copy reports, chain of title, blah, blah, blah. I like doing a lot of that. Um, I like writing copyright opinions. In other words, um, can you really do Winnie the Pooh and Blood Honey? What's going to happen with Steamboat Willie coming out next year? Can I call it Steamboat Charlie? It could be an interesting time. Just like there's Winnie the Poohs and there's Snow Whites, there's going to be Steamboat A, B, and C coming.
right, right, right. Interesting. Yeah,
Uh,
no, I could see how that would be a fun a fun dialogue to have with with the writers and
yeah.
other title owners. Yeah. Yeah, no,
So,
I
if people have questions, I don't charge for phone calls. I
oh,
don't
that's so
charge for
generous of you.
responding to emails. If you want me to respond to a text figure, you're going to pay double price because that means I have to stop my life and type you a message. And I won't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Be kind to the boomers. We built this city on rock and roll. You just live in it. You just live in it.
We're allowed to vape in it and whatever other nonsense. I don't vape. I
Well,
don't condone that. It just
here
came
in
to
LA
mind.
is cannabis, not vapes.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I don't do any of that, but I just, you painted a vivid picture there, so I just had this whole like image in my mind. But yes,
I always try and tell people that they didn't build the city on rock and roll. We did.
yes. No,
We were young too.
yes.
We have knowledge. We were young.
No,
Anyway, pleasure talking. Pleasure talking to you. This thing's going to turn off in 3 minutes, 52 seconds. So we better
okay.
sign off and say, I love you. Till next time, Kat. Bye bye.
Love you too, and happy holidays, and thank you. Thank you once again.
You're welcome.
Thank